A pretty incredible moment played out on CNN between former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who has endorsed President Joe Biden, and a right-wing commentator named David Urban. And essentially what you're about to watch is Anderson Cooper asking Adam Kinzinger, do you regret endorsing Biden in the wake of the debate? And then David Urban, thinking it's just the most hysterical thing in the world, laughing, oh yeah, how do you feel about that now? And Adam Kinzinger has none of it and brilliantly explains why he has absolutely no regrets.
You just endorsed President Biden the day before the debate.
How's that going for you?
I'm just wondering.
And I'll start this over. Just again, if you're not familiar, Adam Kinzinger, former Republican congressman, conservative guy, but he gets the stakes of this election. He gets the democracy is on the line. And with that being said, here's this.
You just endorsed President Biden the day before the debate.
How's that going for you?
I'm just wondering, any regrets about that? Or, I mean, how do you see this? You were a Republican.
Look, David, David, listen, man. You know what I'm proud of? I'm proud that I'm not standing here sitting on a stage supporting a man who is a habitual liar, who couldn't tell the truth, who pretended like the January 6th committee deleted all evidence, and it's on the frickin' internet. He has a defense team that can also come up with whatever evidence they want. So it was a terrible night. The Biden campaign and Democrats gained nothing by pretending like it was anything but a terrible night. And Democrats have to decide what is the best way to defend democracy.
Quick pause from your viewing of this video to request that you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already, just by clicking that subscribe button, the easiest and freest way to support the work that we do. Thank you so much. Back to the video.
But the thing I am so proud of not having to do is to defend a man who could not tell the truth last night.
But do you wish you didn't endorse him? Do you wish you had somebody else?
No, I don't wish I didn't endorse him. I'm proud of standing against the habitual liar who lies about everything from January 6th to his golf game, that he wins club championships that he's never lost. That makes me proud. Democrats have a lot of thinking to do in terms of how to right this ship, but you have to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, one of my disappointments is it should have been Joe Biden that was crushing Donald Trump's lies last night, and he wasn't able to do that.
Yeah.
So, level-headed approach, being transparent about the performance of Biden, as I've been doing as well. But interestingly, watch David Urban, who's just having a good old time initially, thinking this is just fantastically hilarious. And then that mood drains off of his face as Adam, you can see it there, as Adam Kinzinger makes some fantastic points. Because there are two really important points that should be made about this debate, but too many people are only making one of them. The one that everyone's making is Biden did have a disastrous performance, undeniably. But the second point is not getting as much attention as it should, and it's what Adam Kinzinger is saying. The other guy on this stage was spewing so much dishonest nonsense that it was genuinely difficult after the fact to go through and fact check all the lies. He was unable to comprehensively answer, or even just basically answer a question about policy. For example, he attacks Biden a lot on the economy, but then he can't explain at all what his economic approach would be, what would be different about it that would be in the interest of the American people. One of the things he's pitching is a 10% tariff across the board on all products imported to the United States, which would spike, as a bunch of analyses have shown, inflation. So the thing he attacks Biden on almost the most, maybe he attacks this on the board a little bit more, but one of the top things, inflation, he actually has an economic plan to exacerbate. He has no ability to talk about how he would govern. And that's where Biden has a record to show. With all of the mishaps, one thing Biden can say is, despite my mouth not working the way that I was hoping that it would, I have a record of governing. When I'm in the important rooms making important decisions, I know how to get the job done. That's what he's been saying, and I think that's accurate. Trump can't, as shown by dozens of people leaving his administration saying this guy does not know how to actually govern, make decisions, and process important information. So now that we've had in past segments a very sober discussion about the person we were hoping would perform well, I think it's due time to flip it around and start saying, what about you, MAGA, or this right-wing commentator, David Urban? What's your self-reflection? Because it's been stunning to watch the MAGA world completely incapable of self-reflection about the performance of Trump. Whereas those on the pro-democracy side of this conversation are very willing to have that sort of conversation about their candidate. Just like Adam Kinzinger did there, being able to say, I'm so proud to be endorsing the person who's the one pro-democracy candidate in this race who can actually win. I say it that way because there are third-party candidates that you could say are pro-democracy, but they have no shot of winning. And I'm proud to be endorsing the person who's not the guy who can't say a single thing without it being a lie. And then Adam Kinzinger disagrees more with Biden's governing because he's conservative. But on my side of this discussion, I'm also proud to be endorsing the person who clearly knows how to govern. And one of the distinctions, before getting on to other clips, that I've heard friend of the show Brian Tyler Cohen make, and some others as well, a point that I find to be a nice summarization of this conversation is, in politics, you really do have the candidate, and then when it comes to the president, right? How are they doing as president, and how are they doing as a candidate? Perception, and then actually what's going on. And we've talked about for a really long time, Biden's perception problems are so significant, even though the facts of his presidency are impressive. And I think it's perfectly acceptable for people to be saying, he's not showing up as the candidate. And that is a shame, given the quality of the presidency and the facts of how he is as president. And my colleague Jack actually worded it as follows: I wish that someone could run as the candidate, win the presidency, but then there's an agreement that means Joe Biden gets to be the president because he's governing, partly because of the experience he has with the years he's been alive. The governing's been effective, but there's a disaster too with the alternative. People are saying, oh, Biden should drop out. That alternative also brings with it a bunch of issues, the chaos and the lack of presidential campaign infrastructure and the lack of relationship with the American people and all that. So I don't think I'm there, but definitely that distinction is one that I find pretty compelling. Here is Jack Schlossberg, the grandson of John F. Kennedy, responding to the debate as well. And I think he's another person delivering this message effectively.
I'm Jack. Here are my 5 takeaways from the presidential debate. Number 1, Biden struggled. Does it matter? Of course it matters. Everybody is watching. Is it the only thing that matters? No. 2, you got to think for yourself. The real bias in media is not that it's partisan. People don't get this. It's that it's negative. It's almost always bad news that you hear, especially on politics. And the coverage of last night is absolutely no exception. 3, stay focused. It's not always about falling in love. This election is about issues, not imagery. Climate change, the economy, civil rights, Roe v. Wade. It's all on the ballot and the choice could not be clearer. 4, what do I look for in a president? The person who's thinking about tomorrow, who's trying to get stuff done and find common ground, and whose steady hand I trust when things hit the fan. Remember, nothing is inevitable. Bad things absolutely do not have to happen. And you can make a difference because you have a voice. Number 5, sometimes you only need 4 points. So that's it for me. And this election is going to go on for a pretty long time. So stay tuned for more.
Yeah, and I like his sort of positive message, because one of the things that's been bothering me is, without taking any time to process, there's just been this, I give up, oh my gosh, it's all over sort of attitude from people. That's just not how elections go, especially not when you're running against the convicted felon, civilly liable rapist, 4 times indicted, failed president, etc., right? That's not the person that you should feel it's inevitable will be the victor. And, you know, interestingly, in post-debate focus groups and in some quick polling that's been done, it doesn't actually seem the meltdown, disaster mode, crisis that we're hearing in a lot of the pundit world is aligning with how the American people are responding. We need more time to really get a sense of how the polling will shift, but it seems to be that might not even be the direction that things are going. And I mentioned on, I think it was a bonus show, the fact that Biden outraged Trump in the aftermath of the debate. So maybe the discussions that do center around negativity, as Jack mentioned, aren't actually aligning with the broader takeaways from Americans. Because I think a lot of Americans who probably were at least uncomfortable, if not shocked, by these really bad moments from Biden, were also likely, hopefully, should have been shocked by Trump's utter dishonesty and unwillingness to discuss in a meaningful way any of the questions. And I do think that's been many people's takeaways. I'll remind you, just because I really think this moment is compelling, of Biden's response to his own poor debate performance. Do you think Trump would ever be willing to do any introspection like this?
Let me close with this. I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. Well, I don't. Folks, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
Yeah, so the case he's making is essentially, I get it. I know you saw what happened. I don't walk as easily or talk as smoothly as I used to, is the wording he was using. But the same years that caused that, living through those years that caused that, have also brought with them knowledge, skills, relationships, experiences, etc., that serve the office of the presidency, or serve his execution of that position. And I think that's a fair case to make. It's one that I've mentioned many times. And I think you can hold both thoughts in your mind simultaneously. We've now seen clearly, not the strongest perception candidate, because being a candidate is a lot about how you're talking in politics. And that being a weakness is significant, even if the strength that's more consequential related to governance and being president is present. People care about perception, and being president is partly about perception on the world stage, how you handle yourself. So it's not to not believe your lying eyes, none of that, but it's to say, let's consider the full picture, and let's not throw in the trash all that we've seen over the last years because of 90 minutes, and really just a few minutes within those 90 minutes. That, I think, is the case Biden's making. That, I think, is a perfectly fair case, and we'll see how this all progresses. I would encourage people to just be a little bit level-headed in our discussions and our response. The instant crisis mode, I don't think serves anyone. Doesn't serve anyone or anything. Doesn't serve our democracy either. But we will see how this all progresses. Let me know what you thought of the Adam Kinzinger moment, Jack Schlossberg's thoughts, the Biden clip that we've looked at now a few times, and of my analysis in the comments. And if you want to get the extra episode of the show daily, you can do so by clicking the join button below.